illallah.
La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Alhamdulillah wa nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. We thank Allah because Allah is so good. He's so good to us. He's so good to those who He loves and those who love Him. Those who love to meet with Him. And the proof that He is so good to us because He opens up our hearts to receive this deen. He's Al-Fatah, the open, the one who opens. And He says in His glorious Quran that He gave to our holy messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فمن شرح الله صدره للإسلام فهو على نور من ربه فويل للقاسية قلوبهم من ذكر الله أولئك في ضلال مبين. صدق الله العظيم. I love these ayats. One time there was a sheikh. He came here from Morocco. Good brother. He used to help us with our Qur'an prayer. And he directed me to this ayah because he could speak very little English. I could speak very little Arabic. So we were questioning why not enough people were coming, or certain people were not coming to the Tawheed prayer. And he said, he just directed me to this ayah right here. And it translates like this: in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, is one whose heart Allah has opened to Islam, so that he has received enlightenment, nur, from Allah. No better than the hard-hearted one. Woe to those whose hearts are hardened against the dhikr of Allah. They are manifestly wandering. Dalal mubin, in a state of dalal. Wandering, just wandering around. Clearly that's their case. So it's a serious question. And we know that they're not equal. The one who Allah has opened his heart or her heart up to receive this nur of Allah, they're not equal to the ones who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shut out. They're not. It's the Prophet ﷺ gave a hadith, something to the effect that when you compare the one who remembers Allah, who dhikrs Allah, who celebrates the praises of Allah, regularly, when you compare that one to the one who never does that, he said the comparison is like comparing something alive to something dead. So it's not the same. So when we as Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us to become Muslim, it's high station. Very high station. And when He opens up our qalb, our hearts, and lets that light of deen shine into our hearts, subhanAllah, it separates us so far away from those who are not so blessed, as far as the east is from the west, even further. As far as Jannah is away from Jahannam. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, we walk the streets, we ride through the city streets, and you know, subhanAllah, you know, what separates us from those from among us who don't have a clue? They don't know who Allah is. Matter of fact, they are, you know, intimidated by the name of Allah. You drop the name of Allah on them and they get intimidated. They get upset. You know, someone want to fight you, want to argue with you, that kind of thing, just by dropping Allah's name, just by mentioning Allah's name. What separates us from that? That mentality, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You said, then you want to talk about Allah, you want to talk about His book, the Quran, they want to sit there and argue with you about the truth. And in their hearts, believe me, they know it's the truth. They got pride in their way. You know, they don't want to acknowledge the fact that they've been damn fools all their life. Because they think they got it going on. Yes. They think they got, you know, got it all figured out. They so slick, they so cool, they know every angle, but they don't even know one Allah. So when they are faced with the reality that they have been shut out of the dhikr, it don't mean nothing to them. But it will mean something to them when they enter that grave. And some of us, it didn't mean nothing to us until we got locked up. I mean, we didn't know nothing. Man, we was out there bad. We didn't know nothing. You know, then we get locked up and we see the reality of what we're up against. By Allah's mercy, He opens up our hearts and that light of the Quran shine through the bars into our chest, into our hearts. And He places on our tongues, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hey, now that's Na'im. Mubin Na'im, at the highest level. SubhanAllah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us to know who He is and who His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is. Our Holy Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because prior to that, you know, Muhammad, we hear that name, we be thinking about a bunch of other Muhammads. We get our Muhammads all twisted. You know, but we don't know about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when it's brought to our attention, man, we so crazy. We look at him like he's a foreigner. When in all actuality, he came from the same blood of Adam that we came from. We're all the same tribe, human beings. Allah calls us Nas and Nas, the people, human beings. He calls us Insan, the people, the ones who forget who Allah is, forget who the Prophet ﷺ is. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He asked us in the time before time, when He had all of our souls in His hand. And He asked us, am I not your Lord? And we all said, Bala. We didn't say Na'am. Na'am is saying yes. Bala is bearing witness. It's affirming. It's an affirmation and recognition of the haqq, the truth. We all said Bala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that He don't want us to be like the Dalal al-Mubin. He doesn't want us to be like the Dalin, those who forgot. We beg Allah every day. At least 17 times a day we beg Allah to guide us to that straight path. And not be like those who forgot, those ungrateful ones. Dalin. And subhanAllah, He mercifully answers our prayers. He knows if our heart is right, clean, and pure. that it can really receive and hold on to that hawk. He knows. He reads our hearts. And those who forget after coming into, Islam, and then they go right back out there into that mix, into that dunya, playing them stupid street games or playing them ignorant, criminal games and whatnot. SubhanAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that their heart couldn't hold on to it. Their heart wasn't strong enough. Because He's the one that strengthens our hearts to hold on to this rope, this truth. And we can't do it without Allah's help. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us. And when we go out and we see our family members and close friends ignoring Allah, heedless to the dhikr, and we just cry out to them, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, and they don't even hear us. And when we say Muhammad Rasulullah, they look at us like we're talking about some kind of foreigner. The Rahmatul Alameen, the mercy for all the worlds, Allah calls. The Beeullah, the one who Allah loved the most. We remind him about, He is our perfect pattern, our Uswatun Hasanah. Excellent example. For what? For who? For those who what? Hope in Allah. What does that mean? Hope in the last day. What does that mean? And dhikr Allah kathir, very, very much. We keep our tongues wet with the name of Allah. This is what Rasulullah is. We have to tell the people. That keeps us fresh. You want to learn deen? Teach it. You want to learn the Quran? Teach it. If you want to learn Islam, teach it. Because in order to teach it, you got to study it. You got to learn it. And then as you're teaching it, not only are you reminding these people, giving them the dhikr, but you remind yourself. So subhanAllah, that's what the Prophet ﷺ came doing. So we follow in his footsteps. And we try to guide the people off these city streets and all these highways and byways to the Siratul Mustaqim, to the straight path, the one that leads us back safely to our Lord. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Came from Allah, and to Him is our return. And when we lose our way and we become dala and begin wandering out here, we need to be reminded. And Allah commands us in the Quran. He says, وَذَكِرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. He says, remind. Dhikr. No, he says, therefore, dhikr. It's a command from Allah. He's commanding us to dhikr. He says, because tanfa'ul mu'mineen, the dhikr, it reminds the believer. It reminds the believer in us. So we give this dhikr. We keep talking about Allah, Allah, Allah. And they say, man, you crazy. Crazy about Allah. Crazy about Allah. Yeah. They're going to think you're a hypocrite. They're going to think you're crazy. They're going to think something wrong with you. When their hearts are not right. When Allah has closed the door to their hearts. And that dhikr bounces off their chest with a clang. It don't penetrate. It don't sink in. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. May Allah protect us from that. Because, of course, we're better. We're better than those who Allah has hardened their hearts. Put this cast iron cover over their chest, where they can't receive any light, where they wander around in darkness. Of course, we're better than they are. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us walking in the light of His Quran. In the light of His Quran. Because that is what's going to guide our feet to the Siratul Mustaqim. And that's the only way we stay on the path, is by Allah's mercy. He guides us like that. Akuli, Kali Hada, Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala khayrul mursaleen Muhammadin. And ya bi a'umi alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Yaquluhu ta'ala fi al-Qur'an al-Karim. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala an-nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Sallallahu alayhi. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. Allah continues to reel us into His reality, into His haqq, into His truth, by way of this Holy Quran. And by way of the sunnah of His holy messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says in His glorious Quran, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allah, Allah, Allahu نزل أحسن الحديث كتابا متشابها مثليا تقشعر منه جلود الذين يخشعون ربهم ثم تلين جلودهم وقلوبهم إلا ذكر الله ذلك هدى الله يهدي به من يشاء ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He keeps reminding us. He says, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Allah has revealed from time to time the most beautiful message in the form of a book, consistent with itself, yet repeating its teaching in various aspects. The skins of those who fear their Lord tremble at it. Then their skins and their hearts do soften to the dhikr of Allah. Such is the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He guides therewith whomever He pleases. But such as Allah leaves to dala, to go astray, can have none to guide. So it's Allah's mercy. It's Allah's mercy when He guides us by way of this book that He calls consistent with itself. It keeps repeating over and over and over every page. Allah, 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 Allah. La ilaha illallah. over and over again. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, over and over again. The entire Quran of 6,000, over 6,000 ayats are condensed and summarized in Al-Fatiha, the opening of the Quran. Those 7 ayats, if you really reduce them down to the essence, it's La ilaha illallah. That's all it's saying. La ilaha illallah. But what is La ilaha illallah saying? La ilaha illallah, let's go over it. La. This means no. It means there is nothing. There's no. He ain't said nothing yet. Ilaha. There is no God, no object of worship, no ilah, no idol. No, nothing that deserves to be prayed to. Still haven't said anything. Illah, except. Still haven't said anything. But now we're on the precipice, right there on the edge. He's getting ready to tell us something. Except what? Allah. He didn't say anything in La ilaha illallah until he got to Allah illallah. So this Quran is talking about Allah. That's what it's talking about. And it comes in from every angle, every perspective, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It gives us all kinds of examples and parables and all these other kinds of things, but every one of them point to Allah. Every one of them. The greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This Quran is the best dhikr. It's the best dhikr. That's what Allah calls it. The best dhikr. So subhanallah. This is how Allah brings it to us. And this is how we have to take it. And that's how we have to give it. Based upon what Allah says. Based upon what His Holy Messenger Muhammad says about this Quran. We can't go out there and talk about what this person said or that person said, what some prophet said. Unless what they're saying, the prophet said what Allah said that they said. SubhanAllah. So SubhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala softens our hearts. He softens our hearts, He softens our skins. When we hear the name of Allah, it should really, really, vibrate inside of us. We should feel vibrations in our spirit, in our soul, when we hear the name of Allah. Then we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has His hand on our hearts. Then we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has us in His hand, our very souls. And that's what we ask of Allah, to keep us like that. In that handhold that won't break. That dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it is the greatest thing. The dhikr of Allah is the greatest thing, no doubt. And Allah tells us, He says, Fadhkuruni, therefore you remember me. Adhkurkum, I remember you. Allah never forgets us. The proof of it, this heart beating in our chest. We don't beat our hearts. It's Allah who beats our hearts. We can't start our hearts to beat, and we can't even stop our hearts to beat. When our chest begins to expand, Alam nashrah laka sadrak, when our hearts begin to expand, our chest opens up to receive air, and we breathe. It's Allah who opens up our chest. We don't do it. We can't cause our lungs to breathe. We can't even stop our lungs from breathing. It's Allah. So subhanAllah, every heartbeat, every breath we take should be a reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His power over our life and His power over our death. And may Allah bless us to live and die Muslim. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to have the good sense to take this message of Islam, this dhikr of Allah, to the people. to our own folk, to our own people, and to all the human beings. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep our hearts clean and worthy of His dhikr. Ameen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. آمين. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. آمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. آمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. آمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم وإذكم لعلكم تذكرون. صدق الله العظيم. آمين.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Shadu la ilaha illallah. Shadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat, hayya ala salat, hayya ala salat, hayya ala salat, aqamat as-salat, aqamat as-salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu
Step a
Akbar.
little bit further up so people can get everybody on one line. Can you slide down just a little bit so he can move his chair back a little? Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي كذب فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلى ما شاء الله إنه يحرم الجهر وما يخفى وأن يسرك اليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصار بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا وآخرتكم وأبقى إن هذا في صحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, brothers, it'd be good if you, shake everybody's hand in here. Everybody shake each other's hand. Look the brother in the eye. Tell him assalamu alaikum. And maybe get to know each other. They don't know who it is, and ask his name, the lady, give him his name, speak your name, and come to you like someone like that. Made it, huh?
I had to catch a cab from